I've been using the Empower app for over a decade, and it truly is the best free personal finance app out there. But while many tout it as the best free budgeting app, it does have some budgeting features, but honestly, it has way more powerful investment tracking and planning features that can help you build a trustworthy and long-term retirement plan that will help you build wealth and save money at the same time. So I want to dive into all the features of Empower today, including the Empower Personal Dashboard that shows you a snapshot of all your finances, the budgeting features, the investment tracking features, as well as the retirement planning features. And all of that is built into this free tool. I'm also going to share some things I love about the app, as well as some things I don't like so much. I want to make this an honest review so you can figure out whether Empower is worth your time. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Jacob Wade from Roadmap Money. I'm a financial coach, and today I want to share with you why Empower is probably one of my favorite personal finance apps that I've used over the last 15 years, and dive into the details of how to track your money with it, how to budget with the tool, how to track your investments and the different investment tools and analysis that's built into Empower, as well as use the retirement planner to see if you're on track for retirement. All right, so here is the dashboard when you first log into Empower Personal Dashboard, and it shows you a snapshot of kind of everything. I've connected a few of my financial accounts, not all of them here, but just to get an idea of what it could look like. So here's like a net worth tracker that you can just kind of hover over. It'll show your net worth change over the last couple of months or the last 90 days, it says. You've got your budgeting tracker right here. It shows you where your money's been going to, your cash flow, income versus expenses. And you can even customize your dashboard a little bit. And then it even shows retirement savings. How are your goals? Things like debt pay down or an emergency fund. You could set custom goals and your portfolio balance over time. Now, the way that it actually works is once you log in, you won't see any of this stuff. You'll want to actually hit the plus symbol here and then start typing in your financial accounts. It'll digitally connect to them, just like other budgeting and finance apps, and just pull your information in. So if you have a Schwab investment account, you hit continue, it'll connect, you put in your credentials, it'll log in. This is all fully secure, and then it brings in your details. So once your accounts are connected, as you can see, there's a few investments accounts here. I've got some custodial accounts, brokerage accounts, Roth IRAs, and you can have your bank accounts in here as well. So I've got several different bank and savings accounts connected. And once it syncs all of your information, it'll actually start tracking your spending for you. So that's the first feature I want to get into here, is the budgeting feature. Now, again, this is touted as the best free budgeting app. I will say it's effective and simple, but I won't say that it's the best budgeting app. Now, if you want to watch a video on the best budgeting apps for this year, I actually put an entire video together right here. You could click that, check it out, and find the one that works for you. I will say the best budgeting apps, you got to pay for. You got to pay just a little bit per month, but it is worth it because there are so many more powerful features. But if you truly don't want to pay any money and you want a simple free tracking app, Personal Capital more than does the job, adequately does very well. So when you connect your financial account, for example, it'll start to pull in different transactions, and those transactions will automatically be categorized for you. So if it's restaurant spending or travel or general purchases, it does that. And then you could see there's a breakdown here. So in this breakdown for the spending, you could see I've got mortgage, taxes, education, general purchases, groceries, utilities, things like that. And if you want to deep dive into any of these categories, you can just hit, like, let's say groceries. Okay, yeah, those look like grocery purchases for this month, right? Okay, I've spent about $340 on groceries, but maybe I want to look at last month, right? So, okay, last month I spent about $800 on groceries. So maybe I'm going to end up spending, about double what I've done this month. And then you can zoom out even further. You can look at the last year, the last 90 days, and just look at your average grocery spending. I just have this account connected for the last couple of months, but it'll just show you where your money has been going to, where you've been spending it, right? So the nice thing is for tracking, not necessarily for budgeting and planning and setting goals and things like that, but if you're just like, I want to know in general how to track where my money has been going, it will give you a simple breakdown and it will show you where your money has gone to. Now, you can only set a monthly budget, right? So if I go to this month, you can't set a budget for each category. You can't set a grocery budget, a restaurant budget, a utilities budget, your mortgage budget, your fixed in, your subscriptions. You can't do any of that stuff. All you can do is say, I'm going to spend some general number per month. So if you want, again, very simple, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to spend about $7,000 per month. Cool. The nice thing is once you connect your spending accounts, it'll analyze the data for you and say, okay, on general, you spend about 41, 47 per month. Now, I've got other spending accounts. I for sure spend more money than that, but this is nice to like see the average. But then, you got a couple of months where it goes way up, comes way down. So I set a budget for 7,000 as an example, and then I'll track that along the way. Again, it doesn't give me alerts if I overspend in the grocery category. It doesn't let me send individual targets for each category. It's just, hey, here's your general bucket for the month. How are you doing? I think there's a lot of value in that, but I think it isn't quite as powerful as some of the paid budgeting apps out there. That's all. But if you want simple and free, this is truly the best budgeting app out there. So that's the budgeting feature. I like the net worth feature as well. You can, again, zoom out as far as you want. You can go back and just track your net worth changes over time, right? It went up, the stock market started crashing, it went back down. You can just watch, hey, is it going in the right direction? And I'll get out of the way here, but you can switch between your cash holdings and your loans and all that stuff. And so you can look at your investments, you can look at your cash holdings, how has it been happening over the last couple of months. I'm just looking at a 1-year view, but it's nice to be able to just break that down. Again, a very simple tool that allows you to see, are you moving in the right direction? Is your net worth going up? Now, I will say it starts to get a little more powerful when you get over to the investing features, right? So we've got banking, right? Budgeting. I will show you the cash flow. It's really just kind of expenditures versus income. And you can compare it to last month. You can do month over month. You can do year over year, things like that. So this can be helpful. Again, I don't have all my accounts connected, so it looks like I have a lot of overspending happening here, but it's just a nice simple graph. Again, the paid budgeting apps might have a little more features. So that's under banking. Basic features, great for a free app. Here's where the power of personal capital actually comes in. Let's go to investing. And I like to just go to balances to start, but you can jump between each of these things on the top here. But it'll show you how your portfolio has been doing over time. So again, if I want to look at last year, like did my portfolio do well? Well, yeah, it looks like it started here and it went up. I will say this is not showing all my accounts, so I'm just going to hit all accounts here. So it was around here and then it grew. Great. Yeah, my portfolio went in the right direction. Awesome. So that's how my investments have been doing. Now, what about my holdings? So it shows the different types of holdings I have. I have a lot of S&P 500 or total stock market index funds here. And so you can just see that's basically what I'm owning here. And at least these accounts that I have connected, I do have other assets. And what's cool is you can compare it to other indexes. Like, how have I done compared to the S&P 500? Well, considering I pretty much just own total stock market funds, very similar performance. Well, how have I done compared to the foreign stock market since January of 24? I have outperformed, right? So you can see the foreign stock market has done about 6% and I've done about 25. So it's really cool to go, are my holdings doing well compared to industry benchmarks? And again, I'll get out of the way here. Same thing here, performance. My portfolio over the last 366 days has done about 28%. A blended portfolio, maybe a mix of stocks and bonds and cash, has done about 15%. So you can see over time, I have outperformed a blended portfolio. You can go and look at an alternatives portfolio, a bond portfolio, which has done very poorly. Bonds have been decimated the last couple of years. Foreign stocks, U.S. stocks, you can see it's closer to a U.S. stock portfolio. But I really like that you can compare your investments to what industry benchmarks are doing. You can go, am I underperforming, outperforming, or matching things like the S&P 500, the U.S. stock market, the total market? If you are, then you're doing well and you spread across a lot of good investments. Let me zoom out here again and show you allocation. This is another powerful feature. It shows you what are you invested in. No surprise here, about 96% U.S. stocks in these accounts that I have, and a few percent in alternatives and in cash. And the cool thing is you can actually dive into these things, and it'll show me the types of investments I have. I have small cap value and core, right? You can see I have a fully diversified U.S. stock portfolio here just by hovering over these different asset allocations. In my alternatives class, it looks like I have real estate, about $759 worth of real estate. To be honest, I don't even know where that's from. It must be built into one of the index funds that I own because I'm just an index fund investor. So I really do like this allocation breakdown. And then it can tell you, U.S. sectors, what sectors you invested in, right? Communications, right? It really gives you an insanely detailed breakdown of your investments. Some of you might go, I don't care. That's way too much information. I don't need that. But if you're like, Am I diversified? Well, it looks like yes, I'm invested across all of these sectors. Do I have the right asset allocation? For me, yeah, I like to be US heavy and a lot of different types of stocks, including small, mid, and large cap. Cool, I've got my good asset allocation. And ultimately, am I performing well? And yeah, compared to a blended or US stock portfolio, I have outperformed that over the last couple of years. So these are very powerful features under this investment tab. Now, if you want to get to the real, I want to show you something here that is the most powerful feature built into Personal Capital, aka Empower Personal Dashboard. And this feature has been around for a long time, but it like changed my life. And I mean that. Let me show you what I mean here. So if you go over to the planning section, there are a couple of cool planners in here. There's the retirement planner. We'll get into that. There's the savings planner where you can set some goals, and an investment checkup where they kind of analyze your portfolio. Hey, is it doing any good? But the retirement fee analyzer is insanely powerful. And here's why. What you'll do is, so this is just, I'm going to connect all my accounts here. And I'm going to bring my investment fees down. I'm assuming 9% annual growth, right? US stock market. And I'm going to contribute about $12,000 a year, about $1,000 a month. So this is just here's where my portfolio could be by the time I'm retirement age, 67 years old. So if I still invest $1,000 a month, at my current trajectory, I'll contribute about $700,000 total over the life of my contributions, but I will have $3 million in earnings and end with about $3.7 million. That's cool. I love that. But the fee analyzer says, hey, you're going to spend about 26 grand on fees. Not too bad considering $3.7 million at the end. But here's what happens. When you have an investment advisor, for example, they charge a 1% annual fee. So we'll slide this over and just say, hey, maybe they invest you in the exact same stuff that I'm invested in, right? US total stock market stuff. And you're contributing $1,000 a month to them. Great. But they're going to charge you 1%, just a measly 1% to manage your money for you. Here's what happens to your investments. That 1% will eat 24% of your earnings, and you will lose $740,000 just by hiring out your investing and paying a 1% fee, even if they put you in the same simple index funds that have low fees. But here's the problem. Many investment advisors, in order to diversify and try to hedge and beat the market and stuff, they'll put you in mutual funds. Sometimes these mutual funds will give them a commission. If they're a fiduciary, they shouldn't, but sometimes they do. These mutual funds can have fees up to 1% a year. So in addition to the 1% you're paying them, you're also paying your investment advisor. The mutual fund fee is another 1%. So now at 2% a year, here's what happens to your portfolio. Again, this is just for me. I'm 39. In 28 years, I will lose $1.3 million of my retirement just to advisor fees and mutual fund fees. And these mutual funds might be fully diversified. They might mirror the index, all that stuff. Great. But that 1% fee and 1% fee adds up to $1.3 million lost. When I first did this exercise, and I was with an investment advisor that had me in very high fee funds and charged me a little over 1% a year, I ran the numbers and I realized I was going to lose 50% of my retirement to this person, and I would have to work 9 years longer. That blew my mind, and I immediately fired them and started to self-manage my investments and go down the rabbit hole of the financial independence movement. So this retirement fee analyzer alone is worth signing up and connecting at least your investment accounts to Empower Personal Dashboard. Run this, because what it does is, if I slide this slider down to 0, it automatically saw all my investments, all of these right here. It knows what these are. It's an ETF, and it knows the expense ratio. So when you connect your 401k account, your IRA, your taxable brokerage, if that stuff is managed, I would venture to guess you're paying more than 0.03% fees. This is by basically rock bottom, but it will show you immediately how much you're, if you slide over and say, I'm going to contribute however much you normally contribute, maybe your employer matches, right? Put all the information in here, then go to the investment fee section. It will auto bring those fees in for you and show you exactly what you're paying in fees and how much that is costing you. And when I did that, it blew my mind, and I immediately changed the trajectory of my investments in my life. And so anyway, huge, massive tool. The retirement fee analyzer, absolutely worth it. Just connect your investment accounts, see what is going on. You could be wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars. All right, and the other powerful tool I want to talk about is the retirement planner. I'll show you the savings planner real quick, but it's pretty basic. So again, it says if you want to save for retirement, how are things going? And you can set a savings goal. So I set a goal of $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month. You can set an emergency fund goal. You select an account. Again, I don't have mine connected here, but select an account, say, and it'll tell you based on your monthly budget of $7,000, your target emergency fund is, 3 to 6 months of expenses, which is this number right here. And so then you set your target and it'll track your target for you. And then you can even have a debt payoff one. So if you've got some credit cards, some loans, things you're paying down, it'll track your debt payoff here. And it'll show that so if you go to your dashboard overview, it'll show your progress toward your emergency fund, your debt paydown, and your retirement savings. So you can see this inside of your dashboard. But that's not really, it's a pretty basic tool, and it can be helpful. But I really like the retirement planner, at least gives you a bit of a snapshot. I will say one thing I don't like is they do inflation adjust stuff live. So it looks like, oh man, you're only going to have, $800K by retirement. And I'm like, well, okay. But we just looked at the numbers, it's going to be over 3 million. So I don't like that they live inflation adjust this. That makes the numbers look weird. But here's the idea. Based on your current holdings, and for me, investing $1,000 a month until age 67, this is how much you're going to have in retirement. Based on your current spending of $7,000 a month, you're not quite going to get there. You have about a 65% chance of getting there. It has you track income, events, and spending goals. So then you could have your savings here, right? I've got about that invested connected to this in about $1,000 a year. It has a Social Security estimate, which is actually kind of useful. And it says before taxes in today's dollars, based on my age and a general work history, I'm going to make about this much in Social Security. So that's cool. And then my wife probably won't qualify for Social Security. She doesn't have an income currently. She's been at home with the kiddos for over a decade, but she gets half of mine. So if I'm getting 27, she's getting about 13 or so. So I just manually put that in there. So all of these details actually add up to, here's your income sources for retirement. You can add another income source. Let's say you have rental income, right? And you're going to make about $24K a year after all your expenses. And maybe that doesn't start for another couple of years. But it'll take into account all of the different potential income sources you have. Again, this is not exacting, but at least gives you a general idea. Am I moving in the right direction? Do I have enough? Is saving $1,000 a month enough for retirement? This will give you some really good details on what that could look like, right? So for here, if I just had rental income, I don't. But if I did, it would put me at a 99% chance. It's hard to mess this up. I should have far more than I need by the time I retire. So the retirement planner is cool. I think the one other cool thing I like about this is you can hit compare scenarios here on the left-hand side. And say you're like, what if I contributed twice as much? You just drag this over here. And again, it had my old numbers in here. But it would show you side by side, okay, your retirement spending is about this. This means my retirement spending is a little bit lower, but I'd be investing $24K a year instead of the $12K a year. How does that change things, right? Both of these are showing me a 99% chance of success, which is great. But again, you can create multiple different scenarios to see how close you are if you're moving in the right direction toward retirement. All right, and then finally, they do have wealth management. That's how Empower makes money. They are a retirement planning company. And so if you connect your accounts, they might even give you a courtesy call. You could schedule a call if you want with an advisor just to talk about, hey, is my plan moving in the right direction? How are things going? They have an entire financial planning practice that will manage your money for you. And they have, investment advisory fees from 0.89% per year down to 0.49, depending on the size of your portfolio, which is lower than the industry average. They seem to have a good approach. I've actually looked at some of their, and I'm going to get out of here, but I've looked at some of their recommendations. Like when I do this investment checkup, it's like, hey, how can I improve? They've got decent recommendations on how they invest. They've got all of their stuff documented. They seem to have a good approach to investment. So if you're like, this sounds great, I really want to see if I'm moving in the right direction, but I don't feel comfortable long-term managing it, you can just work with their wealth management team and schedule a call, talk to an advisor, and try to build something that works for you. But if you truly just want the free tool, make sure you go after this retirement fee analyzer, plug all of your accounts in and see how things are going. Like, is my 401k, is my Roth IRA invested in the right things? Am I getting ripped off? right? And then make sure, go look at your statements. What is my advisor charging me? And go down here and hit that slider over. And maybe your advisor is charging you 1% a year. How much is that going to hurt my retirement? That's where the power of Empower Personal Dashboard comes in. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, I've been using Empower for over a decade. These tools have been fairly similar. During that time, they've made improvements, simplified it a little bit. But overall, this is a great free personal finance app to track your spending, to track your net worth, and to track your investments to make sure you're not getting ripped off. And then ultimately, if you want to work with the team, you can work with their wealth management team as well. I have a link to Empower below. It's an affiliate link. So if you connect and sign up, I may receive a commission. I just want to be very transparent about all that. I've been using this thing forever. I've recommended it for over a decade to a ton of people. My personal coaching clients get this tool as a recommendation because it is such a great free snapshot of all of your investments, all of your wealth, all in one place. And then long term, it can help you save a ton of money on fees. So I hope this review was helpful. If you've been using Empower, back before it was called Empower, it was called Personal Capital, let me know. Drop a comment below. I'd love to know the features that you like most about it. And if you think there's a better free personal finance app there, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear more about it. I'd love to deep dive into it. I like to look into these things. These are powerful tools that can help you manage your money smarter, invest better, and ultimately build financial freedom into your life. And if you connect your accounts and you realize, hey, I already have my emergency funds saved up, but I don't think I'm earning enough, check out the best high yield savings accounts right here where you can park that emergency cash and start earning over 4% interest per year.